Brandon Frame, founder of the Black Man Can, and we're here at the We Nation Reentry Summit, where we're going to be doing a live audience taping of the Men's Den, where we have black men who are going to come in and share their journey from incarceration to impacting the community, impacting the world with the businesses that they've built. Make sure you tap in. It's going to be a powerful conversation with amazing stories. Black Man Can.
I knew I recognized you from somewhere. It's amazing. I watched this man when I was incarcerated. Truck and hustle. Truck and hustle. He inspired me to really go after my business. Word up, I watched you. I said, I know this man from somewhere. Off of Truck and Hustle. And I watched it several times, man. Thank you. Thank you. For real. Thank you.
Let's clap it up for that moment. That's a powerful moment. Greetings, good afternoon. So happy to be here. Can you get up for yourselves for just being here in the Men's Den? We welcome you inside the Men's Den. And so just a little bit, the Men's Den is our video podcast from the Black Man Can. So we're also filming this conversation. It'll be an episode on the Men's Den. Clips from this will go up on social media as well. The Men's Den, again, is our video podcast to center black male voices across a myriad of topics. So really excited to have the brothers here with me. And also just want to point out how important this has been for me. For the Black Man Can, as a nonprofit, we do have programs. Some of our programs are in juvenile facilities. And we have some programs in LA. And recently out there, I got to attend and visit the young ladies facility. And I'm just thinking about how important it would be if all those young ladies could be here today and hear everything that's being shared. Because I spent time with those young ladies, and I could see that they have the dreams and the passion of what they want to do, but might not necessarily get to meet women who can share their stories and move them forward. So just really inspired by the We Nation Summit and everything that's going on. So just shout out to everyone. Shout out to We Nation for having us. All right, gentlemen, welcome to the Men's Den. So I know they were reading bios. In the Men's Den, we don't really read the bios. We let you introduce yourselves. But a lot of times when black men get together, we kind of like, I like to say, we like to over-compliment each other. We're like, yo, bro, I'm just trying to be like you, man. I see you got the sneakers, you know? But this is a moment for you to be a little braggadocio about yourself, to introduce yourself. So we'll start with, you just tell us why you're him, right? Why you that guy, and telling your story, from incarceration to re-entry, but why you him? And started off with that, like, I'm him because, and then start us on Enroy, you could get us started.
First off, my name is Enroy.
Oh, Enroy.
I'm him because I say, first and foremost, I was incarcerated for something that I didn't do. And throughout my incarceration, I pretty much held my morals. I never adapted to really what was going on around me. I never took on the prison environment. And I'm proud of that, because being in there, it's very easy to basically just become something that you're not. And I hold my head proud that I didn't do that. And I came home, I created a business while I was in prison. I got my degree while I was in prison. I came home, I started a business, like I said. I started a nonprofit with my partner. Thank you. I started a nonprofit with my partner. I got great relationships with my family and my community, and I'm thriving to do better. So that's why I'm him.
Clap it up. Khalif, tell us why you him.
I'm him because the Lord humbled me, and I submitted to his humility. So I keep myself humble at all times. I try to. So I'm him because I allow myself to be humble for the grace of the Lord. I did 21 years and a half in prison. Only been home for 8 months now. Thank you. Yes, thank you. I'm not humble with my hats, though. I've been home for 8 months for the strength of the Lord. Thank you. Thank you. Through the strength of the Lord, he allowed me to receive an education while I was incarcerated. I received my associate degree in religious education. I also got certificates in business mathematics. I became a teacher's aide in business mathematics. So I started teaching other brothers about their finances, why it's inside, I just read, and had a master plan. I told myself, I'm not going to master my situation, but I'm going to conquer my situation. I said, I'm going to dominate the situation because I'm continuing to try to grow to be a master. So I like to dominate my situations. And I told myself I'm going to become a warrior. I don't want to be a soldier no more. I'm going to become a warrior, and warriors figure out strategies. If there's a wall in front of them, they find a way to get around that wall, knock the wall down, and they don't allow things to stop them. So I said I'm going to become a warrior. In this 8-month process, I created my nonprofits, which is called Build Your Success. We call it BYS for short. My own business, my painting company is called Working with Success. I landed my first big contract. I beat out another contractor, which been doing the job for 15 years. I've been doing it for 8 months. I won the contract for $8,600. So I make $8,600 probably between 7 days and 10 days. I'll be finished with the job. So the Lord has been blessing me. I get work constantly. I get so much work I have to turn it down now. And I've been doing this since 8 months. So thank you. I'm him because of the grace of the Lord. Thank you.
Amen. And Trent, tell us why you him.
I'm him. I'm him. Well, I'll tell y'all some of the accolades that will make me him. I'm him because Forbes named me as one of the next 1,000 entrepreneurs. I'm him because I was the 2023 Small Business Person of the Year by the SBA last year for New York State. I'm him because Beyonce's her Be Good Foundation chose me as one of the top 100 entrepreneurs in the tri-state area. I'm him because I operate one of the largest black-owned transportation companies in New York State. I'm him because my company was named the #1 place for ex-offenders to work in the country. So I'm him because I'm somebody who went from felon to Forbes. That's my story, and we'll dive into it a little bit more.
All right, you see we got a dynamic panel. Lots of I'm him, a lot of energy up here, and we're excited to get into it. So loving you into freedom, amazing nonprofit doing phenomenal work. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and the impact that you're making?
Love You Into Freedom is a justice-impacted foundation and nonprofit. Me and my partner, Crystal Ferguson, started. It's really based for families that are affected by the justice system, giving them resources, giving them breadcrumbs, giving them navigation on how to navigate the process. Because, like I said, I was a first time going in there, and my family really had no clue as to what was going on. There was no kind of information that they could gather in order to support me and support themselves in the situation. So we created the foundation in order to, like I said, pass it on to other families that may be going through it and giving them an upper hand in the situation. It started from, like I said, I was personally incarcerated for 10 years. Crystal, she walked it down with me, so she had a perspective, I had a perspective, and we put it in a book on how we navigated it, and that's where we at.
Awesome. I love that. And just thinking about that, just to build on that a little bit, what advice would you have for those that are just sitting here now who have somebody who is incarcerated or just got out and supporting them along their journey? What advice would you have for them?
I would say if somebody's incarcerated right now, those letters and those pictures and those emails and just the connection with their family and friends goes a long way. Like it could be a day where you sit and you get a piece of mail and it does so much. You know what I mean? It could be anything. It could be a picture. It could just be a card. So I would say just make sure that if you love them and you care for them, just give them a little support. Let them hear your voice. Let them know that you're thinking about them. And on the flip side, when you come outside, just patience. You know, it's hard navigating when you first come out. There's going to be a lot of stigmas that we have to, as felons, have to overcome. But with the family support, community support, I feel like you can overcome it. So just support. Family and friend support.
Absolutely. And Khalif, tell me a little bit about the mental aspect of being incarcerated and when you come home and navigating those mental emotions that come from that.
The mental aspect of incarceration is, first, I believe you have to humble yourself. That's how you conquer your mental. First, if anyone you know that's incarcerated, teach them how to humble themselves. The Bible says pride becomes before the fall. If you humble yourself, he'll lift you up. So that's the first way you can get your mental right is by humbling yourself. Because now you can examine yourself when you're humble. When you're proud, you can't see your mistakes. You can't see your flaws. And you might not realize that you actually need help unless you humble yourself. So once a person humbles themselves, they mental can start preparing themselves for a better future. You allow yourself to heal at those moments. You allow yourself to be free. You can't be free if you're in a proud state or a state of not allowing yourself to be forgiven. So I help my mental out when I realize the grace of the Lord is on me. His grace is for me no matter what I did. And once I learned that I had that grace, now I'm allowing myself to allow grace to heal me. So I forgave myself. I forgave others that did things to me. And the victims of the family members and victims came to me, wrote me, even saw me in person and forgave me. And that allowed me to give back to other people and allow other people to heal themselves mentally. And I taught myself and gentlemen that was incarcerated that you conquer the physical. A lot of guys going around, I'm a thug, I'm tough, I can fight anybody. I said, all right, fight the system now with your mental. If you're really a thug, you really tough, let's conquer it with your mental now. Guys going around and say, man, I can go any city, I can go anywhere, I can do this. I said, all right, go conquer that math book. Go conquer that classroom. I said, become a warrior that way and stop fighting with your physical. I want to see how tough you are now when you stand in front of these judges. You stand before them, there's no race thing. You stand in front of these white men, but you want to go kill your brother over here. You know, so I told them conquer things with the mental and stop trying to fight with the physical, and to start freeing myself up that way. And a lot of other brothers that was incarcerated became free when they shift their mindset to a mental mindset.
Conquer with the mental. I love that right there. It's a quotable right there. Trent, talk to us a little bit about, like, during that time of being incarcerated, what was the moment during your incarceration that sparked your personal commitment to transformation and self-improvement, and I'm going to do this business when I get out?
So for me, my aha moment was I was actually in Green Correctional Facility at the time, and I had got there because they had a college program, and so I was taking college courses at Marist, and so little backstory is high school I did terrible. I only got through by the skin of my teeth, only really because I played basketball. And so I took that mentality, tried to go to college, failed out of 3 colleges in less than a year's time, right? So then I ended up in prison, took the college course, and I had the highest grades for not just the individuals incarcerated, but also those on the campus. And I remember that the teacher was like, you know, he told me that. And I kind of went back to those report cards when I was a kid, like, you know, it said if he wasn't a class clown or if he applied himself, he was smart, all of those kind of comments. And that was my aha moment when I was just like, you know what? I want to be a forever learner because I identified that learning is endless. I identified that I was ignorant to the things that I was doing that caused me to get to where I was at, and that was no excuse. I didn't take the time to learn it. And so for me, at that point, I said I want to be a forever learner, and to this day, I am a forever learner. I strive to learn every single day, and so that was that moment.
And building on that, tell us about Tech Valley Shuttle, Roadmap to Success, thinking about what you just shared. Now tell us what that looks like in present day.
Let's get it. So Tech Valley Shuttle is a company I started in 2016. I had came home from prison, and like most individuals, you know, we're not given the best of jobs, right? And so I had to take an entry-level job cleaning toilets at a Marriott. Within 6 years, I went from cleaning toilets at that Marriott to being the general manager at that Marriott, right? After that, I decided, I look back and I'm reading the P&L, that's profit and loss statements, and I'm like, yo, I made this family millions of dollars over these past 6 years I've been with them. I went to prison chasing pennies on the dollars, getting locked up, getting a 12-year sentence for drugs. And so at that point, I identified it's about legacy. And if I could make another family millions, I need to be doing that for me and my family. And so 2016, I formed Tech Valley Shuttle, transportation company. One thing I leave everybody with is, you know, they say that the riches are in the niches, right? And so I was looking for a niche, something that I could do specifically. I didn't need to do it all. And being that the only thing I really knew was the hotel world, I decided to start a transportation company that would be focused on the hotel, individuals going to hotels. Over the years, it evolved into be a community-based transportation company. And so because I identified that poverty and transportation go hand in hand. And so today, Tech Valley Shuttle is the #1 community-based transportation company in the state. You know, we do services that address food insecurity. So every single day, my company, we help save over 30,000 pounds of food, and then we get it to food banks. We address the school-to-prison pipeline, so we help youth. Instead of them going, we get them to college tours, we get them to development centers where they could focus on workforce development. We address recidivism rates, so 4 times a year we do free community prison shuttles. Every Mother's Day we go to Bedford Hills, complimentary, bring people from the community for free. And so, you know, we just embedded in how do we empower people through transportation. Oh, the last one, access to employment. We get individuals to and from work every single day because we know access to employment is huge. And so through that, I've been able to create a program called the Roadmap to Success. And it started as our onboarding practice for bringing on new hires to the organization. And it evolved though into a full curriculum because the roadmap to success is we want to teach people, you come to our organization, you know one task, but by the time you leave, we want you to know how to do at least 2 things so you can better yourself. And so, but that all started with identifying what's people's roadmaps to get them where they want to go. And so this curriculum is a 12-week course. I teach it in Docks now, so every Thursday I go right back to Green, the same prison I was once in, and I'm teaching the brothers how to be successful in that regard. Thank you. I'm also teaching youth. So Berkshire Farms is a youth detention center. I do the programming in there as well. And just looking to really continue to help individuals who are formerly incarcerated find success in corporate America, because that's something that is never taught in the schools. And so I teach people how to be successful as an entrepreneur, but I really start with how do you be successful as an employee? Because to be a good chief, you had to be a good Indian at some point, right? And in order to really to know how corporate America works, you should work in it for free. I mean, you should work in it, get paid to work in it, extract the lessons, and then start your own. And so that's the roadmap to success, and that's Tech Valley Shuttle.
Awesome. All right.
I knew I recognized you from somewhere. It's amazing. I watched this man when I was incarcerated. Truck and Hustle. Truck and Hustle. He inspired me to really go after my business.
That's real.
Word up, I watched you. I said, I know this man from somewhere. Off of Truck and Hustle. And I watched it several times, man. Thank you. Thank you, for real. Thank you.
Let's clap it up for that moment. That's a powerful moment. And Brother Bishop, I want to come over to you and talk us a little about the Coolest Nerd and work that you're doing as well.
Coolest Nerds is a brand that I started while I was incarcerated. It's geared towards education and fashion, basically giving a platform for anybody that may be nerding about anything, and just basically the confidence to just stand up and own education, like he said, just giving them a platform to just, you know, represent whatever they like to do and just do it. You know what I mean? It all started while I was in there. One of my peers I've always been a good student, always had like a good head on my shoulders, and I was watching some trivial thing on TV, and he called me a nerd because I knew the answer. And I took that back to my cell, and I just thought about it, and I said, I could imagine how many like younger kids with less self-esteem may like deter them from actually pursuing their dreams. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna create a platform, and I'm gonna spearhead it, and I'm gonna create a space where people could be confident learners and learn in style.
And I love that. And I think about the classrooms that I sit in, and sometimes especially for our black boys, when you get called a nerd, that's a deterrent, right? And when it's like it's cool to be smart, right? You could be the coolest nerd. So I love that and want to definitely support pushing that. And so this is one for everybody. I mean, Kylie, if you could start us off and just share your thoughts on systemic changes that need to change in regards to the prison industrial complex. And I want each one of you to share from your experiences things that you know need to change. And this is important, one, because we just need to hear, but I'm just thinking about, again, how we're filming this, and these are different clips that we get to share on our platform with so many people, and we have a lot of different people that follow, and these are the messages and narratives that need to get out. So, Khalif, if you could just start off, what are some systemic changes from your experience and opinions that we need to change?
First, solitary confinement needed to change. It needs to change, trust me. I spent many years, one time 2.5 years. I can go on the stints I did in solitary confinement. I'm just get brutal with it. I used to be in solitary confinement. My cellie next to me, I can hear him killing himself. One guy swallowing and raised the other one and said, I want to kill myself now. Banging his head on the sinks. I found individuals dead in prison. I found them. Coming back from school and find someone hanging in their cell. And then have to tell the CO, someone's in there hanging, dying. Help them. A friend, I was in Trenton State Prison. It's called New Jersey State Prison, but we call it Trenton. The life is prison, and I mean, it's death in there. You hear codes. These are codes you hear in there. Code 66, that means somebody killed themselves. Code 33, that means it's an assault. And right after code 33 is code 53, you need medical. You're in the child hall by yourself. You're in the mess hall by yourself. I mean, the mess hall by yourself, you're in the big yard by yourself, and you're in the gym by yourself, and ain't not coming in there. I watch people, the seals can be right there, and I watch people get stomped to death. They not coming in there. So you see those type of things, and they place people on a hold in solitary confinement. I'm gonna use one of my experiences. I got kicked out in the state of New Jersey. They said you can't be in the state of New Jersey and do your time no more, so they sent me to Connecticut. So they took me out of the hole, packed me up, shipped me to another state, and said you can't come back. Placed me in a cell. No, I stayed in solitary confinement in Connecticut for 2 weeks. And they said, oh, we're going to give you a chance, and we're going to let you on population. Placed me in a cell with somebody, and I assaulted the guy. And said, why you do it? I said, I wasn't around human beings for so long. He said, what did he do? I said, he's making too much noise going into his bag. And it sounds crazy, but you've not around someone so long, it's gonna cause you some type of stress, conflict when you're around other people. So that's why I said I had to start building on my mental. And then in the beginning of prison, there was no such thing as mental health. They really have to take mental health serious in prison, not just in prison, outside of prison. That's the change they need to go on. Instead of throwing someone in the hole and say, all right, let me go back real fast. Solitary confinement started with Benjamin Franklin and one other individual. So we say, I'm chasing the Benjamins. But Benjamin Franklin, one that actually started solitary confinement in the United States. And so they said, it's better to place someone by themselves to suffer, to learn what they did, or take them out of society. So I learned what the word penitentiary means. It comes from the word repentance, be remorseful for your crime, or help someone to become remorseful. And repentance means to actually turn away and go the opposite direction in what you have done. So they didn't practice what they named the prison. They did the opposite and placed people in solitary confinement and say, deal with it. So I wrote the counseling and said, I need one-on-one counseling, and never received it. So what I said, I know Jesus loves me. I know he died on the cross for my sins and risen from the dead. I know someone loves me. You know what? I'm going to work on myself. Because, let me go back a little more. I'm sorry, taking up a lot of time. My incarceration actually started in the 1st grade when they placed me in special education. That's when it started. It didn't start when I got locked up for my crime. It started in Griffin school. They said, nah, you can't go to this school. You don't go to Little Common School. You don't go to Crosstown. And I mean it. I fought then every day at recess. I had to fight kids. Oh, get on the monkey bars. I don't know you. Where you from? I had to bang out. So I might not have that face and all that, and I wound up becoming one of the best fighters. And some people in here know me. I came that dude on the streets that handled mines, but that was never me. That was never me. I had no one to talk to. So that's the change. We need to talk about mental health. We need to talk about trauma in our neighborhoods, like sessions like this. We need to talk about those things. We also have to go to Congress and stop solitary confinement. And we have to talk about the school system and stop placing our kids in special education classes. They placed me there because I'm dyslexic. If I see the word 25, I might say 52. But I'm not dumb. So you diagnosed me wrong and said, yo, oh, he's a problem. Let's send him to this school, and all I did is fight. I had no one to talk to. So once again, we have to stop solitary confinement. We have to really talk about mental health. We have to talk about trauma and stress in our neighborhoods and stop allowing the system to put our kids in special education class. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your transparency and your honesty. Trent.
I'll jump in. So you touched on it. I think one thing that everybody here could do and should do is really when we talk about policies and get to know your local assembly members, male or females, because those are the people that are drawing up bills. Those are the people that are starting the change, and some don't. We got to seek them out. Go find them. Like they out here. They get voted in by somebody, right? And so it's up to us to hold them accountable for the things that they said they were going to do. And so I do a lot of work in that space. I'm actually a consultant for Forward Us, which is Mark Zuckerberg's like reform kind of organization. And so right now, like we did a big push for the second chance look, where individuals after so many years, actually the judge should be taking a second look at those sentences and reducing the sentences. That's literally something that's on the floor right now, and it looks like it might get passed at least through the first phase. And so so for everyone here, that's one thing I say, like if you know issues that are taking place, call your local assembly members and get on their asses behind it. Hold them accountable. You said you were going to do this, and that, because I guarantee you one thing I've learned is they want those votes more than they want anything in this world. And so if we're able to work together and hold them accountable for those things, we will see change, and policy work is where the change really happens, because that becomes law, and then that's what people have to stand on.
Absolutely. And so just what does that look like to galvanize people around policy, implementation, systemic change around policy? Because a lot of times whether I go to the barbershop, especially just as black men, and the government doesn't really do anything for us, whatnot, but I also know there's lots of things that brothers care about, but not necessarily might be showing up to the assembly person's office every day. We're not necessarily doing the things we need to do to galvanize people around these systemic changes.
So what it looks, I could tell you, so I'm in Albany, New York. So I'm upstate New York. I'm right there where the policies take place. So every Tuesday, I believe it is, there's a lobbyist days. And so you have people coming up for all kind of things, new citizens, returning citizens, education, financial literacy. So people up there fighting for whatever it is they stand for. That's every Tuesday while sessions are in place. So what that looks like is you could literally go to Albany, you can walk in the chambers, you could find every single assembly member who's been elected throughout the state, knock on their doors, talk to their chief of staff or their teams, and you get their contact information, and then you just start lobbying and start showing up knocking on doors. Another big thing is really rallying your troops locally. So one thing I'm really big on, and that's why Mark Zuckerberg's company brought me in, is as a business leader, I have a lot of connections with other business leaders. And so I do a lot of behind the work policy work, like, hey, will you support this initiative? Or I take unique angles like, hey, we need more people in the workforce. This initiative will help get more people back in the workforce. So then once you start to galvanize individuals and you could come, they say the power's in the numbers, so they want to see those numbers. So when we show up with a couple hundred people or even thousands of people, now it really manipulates the change that we need to take place. And again, that's something that we could all do every Tuesday. You come right up to Albany, and that's a lobbyist day. There's organizations like CCA who do a lot of lobbyist work. Reform is another organization that does a lot of lobby policy work. And so it's as simple as Googling, finding some emails and reaching out. And if I could be a resource before I leave, come up, I'll share my contact information, and, I'm always here to help.
Absolutely, I love that. Thank you for giving us those gems. Brother Bishop, what about you around systemic changes that we need to see in the prison industrial complex?
When I think about change to the prison industrial complex, I'm thinking about even before you even get to prison. My real personal gripe is with the district attorney and the amount of power and lack of accountability that the district attorney really moves with immunity, because I know plenty of my comrades that I've spent time with that have got reversals, and the district attorney has no kind of there's no accountability for it. There's no nothing. It's just they just on to the next case. So I would say district attorney having accountability and the discretion that they have in order to, they could see a state of facts and charge based on their discretion. So it could be somebody that maybe have a, more inclination to have a little bit more leniency than somebody else that they can charge, and you know what I mean? And now you put in a position to fight a crime that you've been trumped up on. So that's my real thing with, and on the inside, like the brother said, solitary confinement. I've been in solitary before, and it's definitely not, it definitely has no benefits. I don't feel you come out and you're just even angrier than when you went in, you know what I mean? And then that's no good for anybody in the system. So that's my real thing, was with the district attorney and the whole court proceedings and how it has no real accountability for anything that goes wrong in those courtrooms. You know what I mean?
I appreciate you sharing all your thoughts on that. And actually, what I want to do, I have lots of questions here, but I actually want to open it up to everyone here in terms of questions that you may have. We have a dynamic panel, and so there's probably thoughts from things that they've shared in terms of you wanting to ask questions. So please, I see my brother right here has a question.
If you could do it all over, what would each one of y'all do different to try to avoid doing that? Or winding up where you want?
I'll go first, man. When I went to trial, and it was a moment in my trial in which the district attorney, I want to say through a Hail Mary, she basically changed my charges after I rested my case. So it was and I had this feeling of not wanting to, I knew that what she was doing was wrong, but I wanted to remain poised because I didn't want people to look at me as if I was worried. So if I could do it all over, I would have made an outburst right there, and I would have messed up the whole proceedings right there, because I really knew, I knew in my heart that what she was doing was wrong, and it could be misread, misinterpreted, and she knew it too. And I just sat there, and it was a moment that I regret, the moment was kind of way too big for me. I was young, I was by myself, I didn't really know too much. Like I said, I was the first person really to go in this deep into the criminal justice system, and I just sat there and I just let it happen. And if I could do it over, I would have just had a whole outburst and try to destroy the entire proceedings and start it over, you know what I mean? So that's what I would have did personally different when it comes to that situation.
For me, it's the crimes. It's only one I don't take it back, and I told the judge I'd do it again. And after he heard me, he understood. Some people try to take my life, my brother's life, and a couple of friends, and I went to prison for that, for protecting us. The other ones I take back. You know, I did some terrible things, caught up in the streets. I was facing the death penalty, tried to give me the death penalty, life in prison. So I take it back, the things I was doing in the streets that, you know, getting it so deep, and when you get in there deep, you just run. And whoever's in your way, you just run them over. So I take that back. 2 crimes I take back.
For me, honestly, I wouldn't take nothing back. I put myself there. Like, I knew everything I was doing, so I put myself there, and it made me who I am today. And I'm proud of who I am, and so I just wouldn't take nothing back.
Thank you for sharing. Any question?
Y'all can hear me? Okay, I had a question. I heard you guys speak a lot about solitary confinement, and for me, that's something that's really sensitive. I served a lot of time in solitary, but not with the stuff that you described. You know, hearing people be murdered, I can imagine the cognitive consequences in living in that environment. So my question is, what do you think would be the greatest support for someone in that situation on the outside? How can we support our men specifically in solitary confinement from the outside?
Letters. Knowing that you love can get you through anything. That's what got me first. What changed my life in the prison system, I was in the county jail, and my father dealt with prison ministry. And I'll share a little more. There's certain decisions. I said, listen, I got to get in deeper in this life because the stuff I was caught up in. So it's either my situation is like, kill everybody that's involved. I'm not going to sugarcoat nothing. Take everybody out, no witnesses. The people that told on you, they got to go. And then you go home. Or take myself out. And I wasn't going to do that. Or listen to the voice of Jesus Christ and say, listen, surrender. I needed someone to touch. And so my first time ever getting locked up, they took me straight to lockup. Went to the county jail, from the streets to lockup, never been incarcerated. Got locked up, came home off that bed, got locked up again. They put me back in the same cell, went straight from the streets to solitary confinement all over again, not the population. I said, damn, this is the same cell. It blew my mind. And that's when I kind of heard the Lord's voice. And that's like, I need a touch. And not no ordinary touch. I need someone that loves me touch. I'm on my knees, and I see my father outside my cell. Not on visit, outside my cell on a unit. And they don't supposed to open the door. You can't touch no one. And I don't know what happened, the door unlocked. And I got off my knees, and me and my father on a unit hugging each other. And I never saw my father cry. My father does not cry. I've been to funerals of his own family members. He's tough, he doesn't cry, and he cried for me. And he said, listen, I'm still proud of you, I'm proud of you. So love conquers all things. Love will get an individual through solitary confinement. It will get an individual through prison. That's love. You love them, you send them the letters, or her the letters. You support, you listen to them also. It's time for healing. Whatever you did to that individual or that individual did to you, you try to find forgiveness in that person while they're in prison. If you did something to that individual, it's time to reconcile with the individual or allow that individual to reconcile with you. That's how you get through your incarceration. That's how you help a loved one to get through incarceration, is through healing. That's the method. That's the goal. That's the ingredients to get through. Some people ask me, Khalif, you only been home for 8 months. How are you still in your right mind? I said, love and humility, healing, reconciliation, all those things got me through the rough times. And once again, they try. It's different when someone on the street's trying to kill you. When the government trying to kill you, I'm like, all right, the government's about to take me out. You need love when the government is saying they're gonna take your life. So it's love that gets you through it. And please write your loved ones, encourage them, listen to them, reconcile, and just begin the healing process. That's what it is. You're welcome.
Thank you. Somebody.
How you doing, guys? I am so grateful for your participation here and everything you do for the community. So grateful for everything you guys doing. It's just amazing, amazing work. And proud of you for overcoming all these challenges, right? And my question is, there is help for people who've been formerly incarcerated. The problem that I see in our community is before this happens, what is being done? Like, what do you guys feel like needs to get done so that these things will be avoided? You understand me? Because yes, you get incarcerated, there's help after you get incarcerated, and some people may use the help, some people don't benefit from it, but it's before. Because once I feel like I was formerly incarcerated, I feel like, okay, so I went to solitary also by myself, 90 days, whatever, and it changed me. You understand me? In a way that nobody can describe. And I'm out here and I'm thriving, but deep down, I'm still broken, and there's something in me that wants to break free. But I went and I see so many things that could have been avoided. So my question is, like, before going through all the devastation, what is being done to save this generation coming up from going through that? You understand me? And like, what do you guys think that should be done? Because I feel like it's prevention. Reentry is good. I'm all for reentry. I'm part of reentry, you know. But I want to know the prevention part. They closing our community services. They're using the budget for everything else, going to other countries to fight. But what about our children? What about the people who are traumatized like me growing up and didn't have an outlet, and every door was shut down in my face to where I had to act up, and that's when I was getting the help that I needed even then. So I'm grateful, and I understand, your accomplishment is beautiful. But what is being done to prevent children from seeing what you saw?
One thing I want to say, and thank you for sharing that. Great question too. For me, and this is just my opinion, I think we need more private sector. We need to own our own shit, ultimately, when it's said and done, and we need more private sector, because if you think the same government and system that is continually locking us up is gonna help us get out of that, we crazy to think that. And so, in all reality, it takes panels, it takes organizations, it takes this, right? What we see right here, that's the catalyst for the change. And we gotta also show up for these young children, for our young ones. We gotta lead the charge. We gotta share our stories, as well as, for me, I believe hope is the catalyst for everything. Without hope, you go out there and do whatever. I didn't have hope at a young age. I lived in Tracy Towers in the Bronx, so like I come from that era, from that. And so for me, I didn't see much hope. So I was willing to do whatever it took to get what I wanted. But as I've gotten older and I understand and I see now there's a big world out there, and the more you get exposed to, you start to identify, like, anything is possible. It's possible for me to do whatever. I think we need to instill that hope into our youth, into the young folks, so that way they know it's possible too. Because the sad reality is most of our youth, they don't leave the 6 to 8 block radius in which they're born into. And so they don't understand that it's a bigger world out there than what they see every single day. And I think it takes us showing them that because we have that experience. And I think that starts to bring about the change. But again, I think it really comes down to ownership. We got to own our own shit. We got to invest back into our communities. We got to be the catalyst for change. And I think because this system ain't going to change itself.
Yeah, something I really want to add to that, and I think about the work that we do as an organization is we do explicit and intentional development of social emotional skills. So I think a lot of times when we think about empathy, compassion, self-awareness, almost everybody in this room, or a way I could tell this is if we go back to everybody in this room, if you go back to middle school or high school, and I was to walk up to you and say, how are you doing academically? What are your strengths, challenges, and needs? Everybody in here could give some sort of response. I'm good here, I'm not so good here, whatever it may be. If I were to walk up to you during that same time and said, how are you doing with your social emotional skills? What are your strengths, challenges, and needs? Almost everybody in the room would not have an answer. You might even know what I'm talking about. That still exists today, right? So we have to ask ourselves, think about, yes, we have to develop academic skills, but we also have to develop our social emotional skills explicitly and intentionally, because imagine how amazing and how different life might be no matter where you are in life if you could have in high school or even in middle school talk about your academic needs as well as your social emotional needs and be able to advocate for it, because a lot of times we're talking about a matter of language, right? One thing we were riding back from DC this week and I gave this example is because everybody has some sort of experience with 2-year-olds. And 2-year-olds are really interesting because 2-year-olds know what they want to do, but what do they not have yet? Language. That's why it's called the terrible twos, right? But the key point here is language. So what you see at 17, 25, 35 is a 35-year-old tantrum. Is a 25-year-old tantrum because we haven't necessarily developed the language, communicate our needs and what we need and what we and everything that goes with that. So I think in terms of prevention is really focused not just on our academic skills, which is important. We need to be able to read, write, and do arithmetic. Very important. But we also need to focus on our social emotional skill development just at the same level as we do academics, because everybody, no matter where you are in life, you use your social emotional skills way more than you use the hypotenuse and base times height equals XYZ. Again, very important things to know, but you've navigated life through social emotional skills. But for all of us, that kind of happen through happenstance. Like good things, bad things happen. We learn self-awareness and whatnot. Whereas what would it look like if we intentionally got that development, and where would we be, and where would the next generation be? And so we got 5 minutes. I'll go to one last question right there, and then we'll close it out from there.
Hello. So I have a question. We was talking about solitary confinement, right? So my question to you, Khalif, right, is how have you been able to deal with, since being home? Because I know, like, with me, I did solitary confinement a few times. The very first time, it was like a year and a half. And right before I came home, I did solitary confinement, too. And when I came home, I kind of, like, had the jitters. I've been home like a little over 6 years now, right? And when I first came home, I couldn't stand too close to people. I didn't like closed doors. Certain things, like if the train come in, I was like, what's that, the beam right there? I was like on the beam, literally, or like even on the train holding on to something. I was just really out of it. And I'm still like trying to, even regardless that I've been home a little while, I'm still like in a process where I'm still trying to get over that hump because it's still a lot for me. How have you been able to recover? Because I know like sometimes you could just, you could be in your room, lights, everything is out or whatever, and you feeling like, okay, how are you able to like deal with that?
Like you said, I'm still recovering from it. Talking about it, mentioning it, helps me recover. It took me, there's a couple people in here did a lot of time. I didn't go to sleep for 3 days. So I was up for 3 days. My family thought something was wrong with me. It wasn't never wrong. I just, new world, My community kind of helped me. They threw a big party for me I didn't know about. So I received a lot of love. And actually the DJ Skills helped out with it. Threw a big party. and they come and embrace you. That embrace helps out knowing that you're loved by your community. You got to go to church sometimes, you know. You're doing the process now. Actually, you here. You talking about it. Yeah. And healing. All that. Collective effort. And stay in organizations like this. You're around people that you might not know. You're meeting new people. That's what helps. I go out sometimes. I am a loner still. I don't know why I ain't buy a two-seater because I don't have a lot of people in my car with me. So I am a loner, but that alone time actually helped me strategize. You know, there's less distractions. So even though we went through a terrible situation in solitary confinement, take the good out of the experience that you have. So I don't allow it to beat me up no more. So I use it as a tool. So use our incarceration as a tool. That's what everybody saw on the panel been doing, using it as a tool. And you got to speak to yourself. You are a winner, we're winners. The world actually wants us. For real, these corporations love to have people like us. We serious. You serious. So take that solitary confinement and say, listen, I'm out here. I conquered it. It didn't defeat me. That's how you get through. Speaking to yourself. There's a part in the Bible about King David. And him and his troops went out, his peoples went out, and they got raided. They took all the women and children, took everything from them. And they came back, and the men were so distressed, and they even wanted to kill David. But David encouraged himself in the Lord. He found encouragement when distress is all around him and people wanted to kill him. So when we get in those moments, remember what you went through, but remember you got through it, and encourage yourself that you made it and you're here. So you a powerful woman and live like it. I'm not saying you're not, but continue every day. I'm a powerful woman, I'm a queen, and I'm here. And you're powerful enough to ask the question. That's how we get through it, by encouraging each other, encouraging yourself, and said you made it, you're a conqueror. That's how you do it.
So they're giving me the time. So one, if we could close out this way. One, tell people how they can stay in touch with you, for sure. And then we are at the We Nation Reentry Summit here celebrating so many beautiful women. What's one special message you want to give to all the women here today, and then also how people can stay in touch with you?
Shouts out to all the women in the room, shouts out to all the formerly incarcerated people, shouts out to all the families holding people down, on the inside. They need it, they appreciate it. I speak for them, You could reach me. I'm BigNerd_CN. That's Coolest Nerds. And I got Love You Into Freedom. That's Love You Into Freedom. That's we on it like that. And again, thank you. We Nation having me up here. It's kind of new for me, but it's like you said, I gotta tell my story in order to feel empowered. This is how I beat solitary. This is how I beat my situation, by spreading it. Spreading awareness to it. So we moving forward. Thanks for having me. My crew right here, Momentum, Life, all that. Shouts out to y'all. Shouts out to Man Cave for having me up here.
My name is Khalif Johnson. You can reach me on Instagram at Khalif Johnson 41 or Facebook. I'm still developing myself. Only been home for 8 months. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So you can find me on Facebook and Instagram, or supportkhalifjohnson.com. That's my email address. So it's just my name, actually. So support KhalifJohnson.com, Khalif Johnson 41 on Instagram, Khalif Johnson on Facebook. And Lucinda has my information, and a couple people have my information. So, I'm right here, yeah. So this network, when this is over, please come up to me, and I'm coming up to a lot of people. So I'm I'm networking. Yeah. Yeah, ain't no three.
So for me, all my socials are the same: Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. It's just my name, Trent Griffin-Braaf. And for the women out there, so I have 3 daughters. You know, I'm married for years. In-law suite with my mom's in it, so I'm surrounded by women. And I could tell you, as a man, you know, they say every good man has a great woman behind him, but I could tell you, like, I would definitely not be where I am at today if it wasn't for the support of women. And so you women continue to uplift us. You know, we appreciate it. You continue to be there for us. You know, I know for me personally, my wife is always there if I need to shed a tear, talk to. And so you guys are the catalyst for all of this, like for yourselves and for us. And so, you know, I just want to say continue to stay strong, continue to uplift, and just know that we all got greatness in us. So thank you all.
Dr. Brandon Frame, you can follow The Black Man Can on Instagram. Follow us on YouTube and subscribe so that when this episode drops, you get the notification that it comes out. But thank you to We Nation for having us. We're so honored to be here. Thank you for everybody that listened to the conversation. Can we get up for our panelists one more time?
We Nation, thank you.
Thank you, thank you. All right.